The camera follows Elijah's dirty fingers, 13 years old, rummaging through the metal trash bin of Maison Blanche, the most expensive restaurant in Chicago. He sniffs a still wet piece of salmon, ignoring the sour smell around him. His stomach growls. He takes a bite. The light turns on. The door swings open violently. "Hey!" Elijah turns around, eyes wide. The piece of fish still in his hand. A shadow approaches. Expensive Italian shoes. A firm voice, but not angry. "Do you know what you just threw away?" An opportunity. He stares back, confused, ready for any reaction, until he hears the unthinkable. "Come in. Let's cook." If you want to find out what happens next, leave a like and subscribe now so you don't miss the rest of this story. Elijah's hands plunged into the steel trash bin like it was a treasure chest of invisible riches. It was exactly midnight, and the damp sidewalk of North State Street in Chicago seemed to pulse beneath his bare feet. The October air was biting, and the boy's fingers trembled not only from the cold, but from the hurry. The smell of Maison Blanche still leaked from the vents, mixed with the scent of fresh trash. Elijah already knew that smell. He knew the exact time when the black bags were replaced, and he wasn't the only one. There were others like him around, little ghosts in the city's shadows, but none dared to get this close. Maison Blanche was risky territory, guarded trash, expensive plates and vanity served in small portions. It was where politicians, CEOs, and artists dined in silence under crystal chandeliers. And it was here that Elijah found, once a week, what he called his prize. This time, he went deeper. He found a container still sealed, mistakenly discarded. Inside, pinkish meat scraps, 2 spoonfuls of aromatic risotto, and a slice of brioche with fig jam. That was luxury. That was survival. The container lid slammed shut. Elijah froze. He turned slowly, the container in his hand. A tall man in a black apron and impeccable blazer was watching him from the service door. The yellow light from the kitchen cast his shadow all the way to the boy's feet. The chef's hands were clean, his eyes intense. There was no anger, but there was no pity either. Elijah could tell the difference. "Do you think this is food?" the man asked, his English thick with a French accent. Elijah was silent. "This is trash, and you're eating like a rat." The chef descended the steps slowly. "A rat who knows how to choose well, I admit." The boy pressed the container against his chest. He started to run. "If you run, I won't chase you. But you'll drop the risotto," said the man, stopping just a few steps away. "And that would be an even bigger waste." Elijah's heart pounded so loud it drowned out the street noises. The chef looked at him like he was dismantling a bad recipe, layer by layer, as if he wanted to understand where everything had gone wrong. "What's your name?" Silence. "How old are you?" More silence. "You're hungry, I get that." The kitchen door was still open. The warmth spilling from it was a promise, a world apart from what Elijah knew. The smells of herbs, onions sizzling in butter, bread baking in the oven. The smell of life he had been peeking at from afar since he was 9, when his mother disappeared in a public hospital, victim of an undiagnosed cancer. "One chance," said the man, now with his back to him. Not to eat, but to learn. Elijah didn't understand, but his body responded before his mind. He took a step, then another, and he walked in. The door shut behind them with a soft click, muffling the world outside. Maison Blanche was closed to the public, but the kitchen was bustling with post-service cleaning. Pots being scrubbed, silverware being counted. A young dishwasher with headphones in didn't even notice the new arrival. "Clean your hands, then come with me." Elijah did as he was told. He washed his hands for so long his skin started to burn. Then the man handed him a dry cloth. "My name is Auguste Morel. I'm the executive chef here." The name meant nothing to the boy, but the authority in the tone was unmistakable. Elijah stood next to a stainless steel counter, waiting. Auguste took off his blazer and hung the apron with mathematical precision. The temples were graying, and his brown eyes had signs of sleepless nights. "Today you eat. Tomorrow you decide if you come back." Elijah didn't respond, but he stayed. The chef didn't give him food immediately. First, he made him chop onions. 3 of them, without complaining. Elijah didn't know how, but he tried. He cried from his eyes and hands, cutting in crooked and slow motions. "Worse people have been here," said Auguste. Elijah finished the onions in 20 minutes. Then came the garlic, then the herbs. With each new task, Elijah delved deeper into a strange place, a place where he wasn't ignored. The kitchen was hot, noisy, and organized, a kind of chaos with rules, which he had to decipher little by little. When he finally sat down to eat, it was already past 2 in the morning. A simple plate, rice, chicken breast with herb sauce, and sautéed vegetables. Simple for a 5-star restaurant. Luxurious for someone who, an hour before, was fighting flies for a brioche. "Why me?" Elijah asked, his voice hoarse and quiet. Auguste didn't answer immediately. He was cleaning the counter, not in a hurry. "You looked at the trash like you were looking at a secret, and because you didn't ask for anything. No pity, no apologies. Just food." Elijah chewed slowly. He was tired but alert. Something in that answer unsettled him. No one had ever offered him something without expecting something in return. After the plate was cleaned, Auguste pointed to a folded mattress in the corner of the dry food storage. It was clean, with a light blue blanket folded on top. "One night. No questions. If you leave before dawn, take an apple. If you're here when I return, we'll chop onions again." Elijah didn't say yes, nor no, but he lay down. He looked at the dark ceiling and, for the first time in months, wondered what would happen if he just stayed. The next morning, Auguste found Elijah cutting onions, on his own. The rhythmic sound of the knife cutting on the wooden board was hypnotic. Elijah didn't know why he had woken up so early, nor why his first action was to wash his hands and start chopping onions. But there he was, still not fully understanding whether it had been a dream or if he was really inside the most famous kitchen in Chicago, surrounded by clean counters, shiny pots, and a permanent smell of fresh bread. Auguste entered through the back door, with the same expression from the night before, sober, contained. He watched for a moment as the 13-year-old boy, now wearing an apron, with eyes still teary and hands steady. He didn't smile. He just walked to the counter, took his own knife from the holder, the sharpest one, and placed it next to Elijah. "Use this one. It'll make less mess." The boy nodded. There was something in the silence between them that was beginning to feel comfortable, a mute communication made of tasks, gestures, pauses. Auguste didn't ask him personal questions. He didn't want to know why he was on the streets or where he came from, but he tested his effort all the time. After the onions came the carrots, then the celery stalks. Auguste watched, corrected the position of his fingers, the tilt of his wrist, the speed. Compliments were rare but precise. Good precision with the fine cuts. Keep your focus when the smell is strong. You learn quickly. Elijah absorbed everything like someone holding onto a board in the middle of the sea. When the other staff members started arriving, the look of surprise was inevitable. Some exchanged glances. Others frowned, whispered, muttered. "Who's this kid? Where did he come from?" Auguste just said, "He's in a trial period. Focus on your own work." There was a strict hierarchy, and when the chef spoke, no one questioned him. By noon, the main dining room was ready for lunch. Immaculate tables, glasses aligned, soft instrumental music filling the air. Elijah watched it all from afar, through a crack between the kitchen door and the dining area. They seemed like people from another world. Men in suits, women in high heels, muffled laughter. He had never seen anyone pay $65 for a starter. In fact, he had never even read a real menu. "Curious?" Auguste asked, behind him. Elijah nodded. "Those are the ones who think they rule the world with taste." The chef crossed his arms. "But the real flavor is here, among those who chop, wash, sweat. This is where the magic happens." The boy turned his face toward the kitchen. He observed the cooks at their stations, meats being seared, broths bubbling, tongs placing micro leaves on dishes. It was like watching a silent orchestra. For the first time, Elijah wanted to be part of it, and Auguste noticed. That afternoon after service, he called the boy to the back of the kitchen. "Let's see if your intuition matches your effort. You'll create a dish. Just one, with whatever you have in the pantry." Elijah froze. He felt the weight of the proposition. Create? He barely knew the names of things. He had never followed a recipe. But Auguste didn't back down. He handed him a notepad and a pen. "Write down what you use. Taste it before serving. And remember, cooking is not feeding. It's communicating something without words." Alone in the kitchen, Elijah started pacing in circles. He opened the fridge, the cabinets, smelled the fresh herbs, grabbed a handful of mushrooms, a red onion, 2 garlic cloves, a lemon. He saw arborio rice in the glass jar. He decided to try making a risotto, even though he didn't exactly know how it worked. 35 minutes later, Auguste returned. The dish was ready: mushroom risotto with lemon zest and a spoonful of butter in the center, still melting. It wasn't pretty, but the aroma was surprisingly rich. Auguste tasted it in silence, then wiped his lips with a napkin and simply said, "The texture is wrong. The seasoning is right. That means you feel it. Now you just need to understand." Elijah couldn't hide a shy smile. This was the first time since his mother passed away that someone had told him he had something of value. In the following days, he became part of the routine. He was the first to arrive and the last to leave. He slept on the same folded mattress with the blue blanket, which now smelled of spices. He started with cleaning, moved on to the cuts, then followed the broths, the sauces. He didn't speak much, but he listened to everything. Auguste stayed attentive, always strict, but never cruel. There was a deep sadness in his eyes, a silent mourning that brought him closer to the boy without words being needed. Elijah heard rumors among the staff that Auguste had lost his son in a bicycle accident years ago. He never spoke of it. He never allowed himself to divert focus. The trust between them grew in the silence of the details. One day, Elijah forgot the knife on the counter. Auguste didn't shout. He just pointed and said, "Someone who forgets a knife forgets themselves." Another day, when Elijah nearly dropped a porcelain dish with foie gras prepared for a VIP customer, the chef just stared at him in silence until the boy swallowed his own mistake and composed himself. There was no punishment. There were consequences, but not everyone viewed the boy's presence favorably. Jeremy, the sous chef for the afternoon shift, made sharp remarks. "How long are we going to keep this mascot? Pretty soon he'll show up on the menu, he's so small." Auguste ignored it, but Elijah felt it. Then one morning the tension exploded. The restaurant manager, Martin Hale, a man in an expensive suit with a sharp voice, entered the kitchen with a reproachful expression. He was carrying a black folder. He called Auguste aside. "We have a problem. The boy. He can't stay here. He's learning. He works harder than many adults. He's not legally hired, and we have important clients. If someone finds out we have a minor living inside the restaurant, he doesn't live here." Auguste cut him off. "But he sleeps here." Silence. "Have you seen the newspapers this week? The restaurant on 9th Street lost its license because of labor complaints. Do you want the same fate?" Auguste clenched his fists. He didn't answer. He knew Martin was serious. The boy was a ticking legal time bomb, but he was also paradoxically the only reason the chef had been smiling while cutting potatoes in recent days. That night, Elijah heard parts of the conversation, hidden behind the door. His face hardened. Fear returned. He thought about running away. He thought about going back to the sidewalks, to the safe invisibility, but something inside him screamed to stay. When Auguste entered the storage room to bring dinner, he found the mattress empty, the blanket folded, the notepad on the counter with a single sentence written, "Thank you for letting me exist for a few days." The service door was still swinging. Elijah had left. The rain starts lightly over State Street as Auguste rushes down the alley. He holds his apron with his left hand, the other protects a brown paper package. He asks a parking lot guard, then a man sweeping the sidewalk, then the waitress at the diner on the corner of Ohio. "Have you seen a skinny boy, dark hair, gray hoodie? His name is Elijah." The answers are tired eyes, shrugged shoulders. Auguste had promised himself he wouldn't run. He runs. The sole slips on the wet floor, but he keeps going, because the empty mattress in the storage room burned more than any pot. The note is still in his blazer pocket. "Thank you for letting me exist for a few days." He reads it at every corner. He knows Elijah often hangs around under the elevated tracks near the Grand CTA station, where the metallic noise masks any hunger. He finds a clue at a subway entrance, a red sticker on a torn backpack, the type the team uses to seal deliveries. He descends 2 flights, breathes the warm, rusty air, and sees teenagers huddled under the platform. Elijah isn't there. One of them points to Lower Wacker Drive. He sometimes sleeps over there. Auguste leaves the sandwich package on a pillar, share it, and returns to the rain, now heavier. While searching, lunch goes wrong without him. Jeremy sees a chance to prove a point. The sauce reduces too much. The texture turns syrupy. A ticket returns from the dining room with a note. Salt in this? Martin walks the walkway, commenting on costs that don't justify themselves. Auguste returns late in the afternoon, his shoes ruined and hands cold. He enters without saying anything. He watches the line for a minute, picks up a spoon, adjusts the salt in 2 broths, recalibrates the heat on 3 pans, and replaces a dull knife with a sharp one. Jeremy clenches his jaw. Martin adjusts his tie. The night promises a public test. The Chicago Tribune critic Diane Romero has reserved a table for 8 p.m. At 7:32 p.m., Auguste finds Elijah's backpack propped up against a container, soaked. Inside, a pair of socks, a spiral notebook with crumpled pages, and a tiny wooden spoon engraved with the initials EC. He holds it like a sign. He leaves the backpack drying in the storage room and starts the service. The dining room breathes money. Coats are collected, umbrellas drip in a corner. Diane arrives discreetly, alone. The maître recognizes her. In the kitchen, Auguste listens to every frying pan, every crackle of oil, every dish placed on the pass as if each sound is asking, "Is it right?" He answers with economical corrections. A now. 2 tickets away from Diane's main course, Auguste notices an ingredient missing, the mushroom risotto. He had promised himself not to serve it without Elijah, but the ticket brings risotto, chef's choice. Auguste looks at Jeremy. The sous chef smiles. "I can handle it." The chef shakes his head. "I'll do it." Base. Finely chopped onion, butter before browning, rice toasted just enough to wake it up, deglaze with white wine. The broth enters in patient ladles. On top, sautéed mushrooms, thyme, exact salt. It lacks the imperfect boldness Elijah brought. Auguste grates a lemon, remembers the boy's test, holds back at the last second. He serves. The dish crosses the door. Diane tastes it. The pen hovers, notes 2 words. Tastes again. Her forehead furrows, searching. Beside her, a couple discusses a Napa Valley reservation, oblivious to the small drama. In the kitchen, Auguste washes his hands without needing to. His eyes drift to the service door. The rain turns into a drizzle. He thinks about streets and a boy maybe 3 blocks away with empty hands. He takes the tiny wooden spoon from his apron pocket. He feels the initials and decides, "Jeremy, hold the line for 5 minutes." He takes off the apron. "If it messes up, I'll fix it when I return." Return from where? The alley. Martin appears quick as if summoned by the scent of disobedience. "You're not going anywhere." The critic is in the dining room. "This is the most important service of the month." "The most important of the month is outside," Auguste replies, pushing the door. The delivery corridor exudes cold and metal. Auguste calls the name, first softly, then loudly. "Elijah." The echo hits the brick and returns. He walks to the end of the alley where an awning spills out, forming a shelter. A few meters away, a hunched figure, the gray hoodie. He breathes deeply to contain his relief. "I brought dinner," he says, showing a bundle. "Better than trash." Elijah doesn't move. His eyes open, his body stiff, as if he decided not to react to anything that could be taken from him. Auguste gets closer, kneels. "They're going to send me away." Elijah whispers. "I heard. Maybe." The chef concedes. "But now there's something only you can do." The boy raises his chin. "The risotto. The critic is here. It's missing your wrong lemon." Elijah blinks. "Your mistake has a right behind it." Auguste says, "I can't reproduce it. I need you." The silence weighs. The noise of the elevated train fills the hesitation. Elijah slowly stands. His legs want to stay. His chest wants to go. He decides with his chest. They walk in together. The kitchen swallows them with light and heat. Jeremy throws a warning glance, Martin a threatening one. Auguste puts on the apron. Elijah washes his hands as if praying. He receives a clean pot, a board, a knife that isn't the sharpest but works. Time restarts. "Onion," Auguste says. "Too thin," Elijah responds. "Butter now. Don't let it brown." The dialogue turns into a metronome. The team slows down to keep up with them. Diane finishes the dish and, instead of dessert, asks for the same again. The second ticket arrives, signed by her blue pen. Elijah stirs the rice with firmness, mixes broth like telling a story that only exists in his head. He saves some mushrooms for the top, decides to grate the lemon too early on purpose, like in the test. Auguste watches and doesn't intervene. In the end, the boy adds a small spoonful of butter and a drop of juice that falls by accident. The perfume changes. The dish breathes. They exchange glances. "Serve it," says the chef. The waiter crosses the dining room with the bowl. Diane tastes it, smiles at the corner of her mouth, notes 2 more words, asks to speak with the chef. Auguste goes to the dining room with Elijah 1 step behind. "Who cooked the second one?" Diane asks. "Both of us," Auguste replies. "But he fixed what I got wrong." Diane looks at Elijah, then at the chef, closes the notepad, doesn't say if it's a compliment or a criticism. She simply asks for still water, smiles faintly, and returns to the dish. In the corridor, Martin waits, voice low. "Tomorrow, 9 a.m. meeting with the board. The boy doesn't show up here anymore, or you're out." Auguste doesn't argue. He simply says, "Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Today, service." Elijah listens. The fear doesn't go away, but neither does the hope. When the night ends, he finds the dry backpack, the engraved spoon over the blue blanket, and a new note, now from Auguste. "If you want, come back at 6. If you don't, I understand. But bring your wrong lemon." The next morning, the kitchen was strangely quiet for a place used to the noise of knives, frying pans, and voices overlapping orders. Elijah arrived at 6 a.m., as the note had asked. The service door was unlocked. Inside, Auguste was already at the counter, cutting tomatoes with meticulous movements. There was no coffee in the air, nor the hum of the first preparations for lunch. Only the presence of 2 shallow plates on the counter, each with a slightly toasted piece of brioche and a portion of creamy scrambled eggs. "Eat first," Auguste said, without lifting his eyes from the board. Hunger and nerves don't mix. Elijah sat down but took a long time to pick up his fork. The air felt heavy. The clock read 8:45, and the meeting with the board was only minutes away. The boy felt the invisible weight of that hour, as if every minute was a thread tightening around the chef's neck. "If they send you away because of me," Elijah started, but Auguste raised his hand, cutting off the sentence. "Then we'll find another place." He wiped the blade with a white cloth. "Cooking is cooking, Elijah. The address changes, but the flavor you carry doesn't." At exactly 9 a.m., Martin Hale entered the kitchen with a formal air and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. 2 men and a woman accompanied him, the investor partners. They walked in as if inspecting a valuable asset, their steps measured, eyes scanning every surface. "Auguste, let's get straight to the point," said Martin. "The presence of this boy is a violation of internal rules and the law. If it continues, we'll have serious problems. And we're not risking the name of Maison Blanche." The woman, with her hair pulled back and a neutral expression, crossed her arms. "What does this boy add to the kitchen?" she asked, as if it were purely a matter of numbers. Auguste stood upright, his tone controlled. "Dedication, instinct, a palate that can't be taught." He paused. "And a perfect mistake." The partners exchanged confused glances. Martin raised an eyebrow, sarcastic. "Perfect mistake?" "Yes. He makes mistakes where he should. Not out of carelessness, but out of courage. The risotto from last night." Auguste looked directly at the woman. Diane Romero asked for the dish twice. The second version was his. The 2 men frowned. Martin rushed. "And you think that justifies breaking labor laws? We can't adopt lost causes, Auguste. This isn't a charity institution." It was at that moment that Elijah stood up. His eyes were fixed on Martin, but his voice came out calm, firm. "I don't need to live here." He swallowed hard. "I just need to learn." The silence spread like smoke. The woman uncrossed her arms, evaluating the boy with an interest she hadn't shown before. One of the partners opened his mouth, but Auguste spoke first. "Then let's do this differently. He doesn't live here. He comes, learns, helps. Outside of working hours, he's under my responsibility. No cost to the restaurant." Martin laughed, a short, humorless sound. "You want to turn the kitchen into a school?" "No. I want to turn it into something alive." The phrase hung in the air, heavy and clear. The group exchanged glances. There was no immediate decision. Martin sighed, closed the folder, and said, "Temporary. 2 weeks. We'll evaluate again." They left. leaving behind a trail of uncertainty. Elijah looked at Auguste, who only then released the air he had been holding in. 2 weeks is more than yesterday, said the chef. Let's work. In the following days, Elijah threw himself into the rhythm like never before. For the first time, he wasn't afraid that each task could be his last. Auguste intensified the training. Precise cuts, temperature control, unlikely combinations of flavors. The boy made mistakes, got things right, wrote everything down in the spiral notebook. Sometimes, he stayed after hours to experiment on his own, while Auguste closed accounts in the office. The team began to change their attitude. Jeremy, still wary, couldn't deny that the boy had a knack for improvisation when something went wrong. Once, during service, a fresh herb delivery didn't arrive. Elijah suggested using orange zest and dried basil to save a sauce. It worked. The plate came back clean, but not everything was a win. Martin kept lurking, noting times and closely observing any slip-up. Elijah felt the gaze like a blade on his back. He knew that at any moment the board could decide that 2 weeks was too long. On a Friday night, the kitchen was boiling. A large group occupied the main table, investors and a guest chef from New York. The tension was high. Auguste commanded the line like a maestro, each order clear and quick. Elijah was at the garnish station, finishing sautéed vegetables, when he heard Auguste say, "Elijah, Station 4, I need you on the risotto." His heart raced. It was the centerpiece of the night. He took a deep breath, took his place, and started. Onion at the right point, toasted rice, white wine, broth ladled in slowly. The kitchen seemed to shrink, the sound of silverware and frying pans fading. There was only the rice, the aroma rising, and the certainty that he couldn't mess up. When he finished, Auguste tasted it with the spoon, looked at him, and nodded. The dish went out to the dining room. Elijah stood still, his fingers still vibrating from the effort. Minutes later, a waiter returned with a message. "The guest chef wants to meet the author of the risotto." Elijah froze. Auguste smiled faintly. "Go. Show them your wrong lemon." The boy walked into the dining room, the gazes following him like spotlights. The New York chef shook his hand, said something about talent and courage. Elijah replied with a shy, "Thank you," but felt something grow in his chest. Not pride, but belonging. When he returned to the kitchen, Auguste simply said, 2 weeks. Maybe that's just the beginning. And this time, Elijah believed it. The morning of the final meeting arrived with a heavy sky over Chicago, low clouds pressing down on the city. Elijah woke up before the alarm that Auguste had lent him rang. He ran his hands over the spiral notebook, now filled with notes, sketches, and dish designs. He tucked the wooden spoon into his sweatshirt pocket and sat on the edge of the folded mattress, waiting to hear Auguste's footsteps. The chef entered through the storage door with 2 coffees. He was quieter than usual. There was no tension on his face, only the air of someone who had already made a decision. "Today they'll decide," he said, handing one of the coffees to the boy. "But you already know how to cook things you didn't know before, that no one can take away." The board arrived at 9 a.m. sharp, accompanied by Martin. The meeting room on the upper floor was cold, silent, with enormous windows showing the gray city. Elijah entered next to Auguste, the sound of their shoes echoing on the wooden floor. The partners were seated like judges, documents neatly arranged in front of them. The woman with her hair tied up was the first to speak. "We've had 2 weeks to observe. What happened during this time was unusual, but the results..." She opened a folder, pulling out newspaper clippings and online reviews, show an unexpected growth in the restaurant's performance. She placed a clipping in front of everyone. "Maison Blanche revives flavor and soul in classic dishes." Chicago Tribune. The article mentioned the surprising risotto and subtly spoke of a new touch coming from young, decisive hands. Martin took a deep breath, as if that wasn't enough to change anything. "We can't base our decision on a week's worth of praise. It's still a risk to keep someone in an irregular position in the kitchen." It was then that Auguste leaned forward. "Then let's take the risk out of the restaurant." He looked at Elijah, and then at the board. "This morning I formally registered Elijah as my personal apprentice. Outside working hours he will be trained in my new space. And about this space, it won't be here." The murmur was immediate. Martin straightened in his chair. "What do you mean, it won't be here?" "I'm leaving Maison Blanche," Auguste said without raising his voice. This restaurant has lost much more than a staff member over the years. It has lost the reason to cook. I found it again, but not here. The silence that followed was dense. Elijah felt the ground slip away for a moment until Auguste added, "The contract allows me to open my own place at any time, and I will open it. Small, outside the luxury circuit, but with space to train young people who only need a first recipe to change their lives." No one responded immediately. Martin looked at the partners, but none of them intervened. Auguste stood up, gave a slight nod, and left, waiting for Elijah to follow him. 3 months later in the Pilsen neighborhood, a modest restaurant with a yellow facade always had a line at the door. The name was hand-painted, Soleil. Inside, walls were adorned with black and white photographs of dishes and smiling faces. In the back, an open kitchen where Auguste could be seen commanding and Elijah, now with his own apron, finishing a dish. The dining room was full. Among the customers, a woman with her hair tied up watched everything from a discreet table. She was the partner who at the board meeting had asked what the boy brought to the kitchen. She didn't say anything, but at the end, she asked to speak with Elijah. "Do you remember me?" she asked as he brought the check. "I remember." She smiled, handing him an envelope. "A donation, not for you, for the next one who comes in here." Elijah thanked her with a shy nod and took the envelope to Auguste, who only responded with a brief approving glance. That night, with no customers left, Elijah was putting away the knives when he heard a hesitant knock on the door. A boy smaller than him, skinny, wearing a worn cap, was looking inside. Auguste went to the entrance, but before he could say anything, Elijah approached. "Are you hungry?" he asked. The boy nodded, eyes down. "Then come in. But first, wash your hands. Then, let's cut onions." The boy smiled crookedly, hesitantly, and entered. Auguste watched the scene without intervening. Elijah grabbed a clean apron, the same one he had once worn for the first time, and tied it around the boy's back. At the counter, he was already separating onions and a small knife. The sound of the blade starting to work filled the kitchen, and for a moment Elijah realized he wasn't just repeating Auguste's gesture. He was continuing something that back then, in the rainy alley behind Maison Blanche, had started as an act of survival. And now it was something else, something alive. As the new boy awkwardly cut, Elijah chuckled softly and said, "Don't worry. Perfect mistakes have more flavor." From the back of the kitchen, Auguste closed his eyes for a second and smiled, discreetly, as always. The pot on the stove released the first aroma of dinner, and outside Chicago remained cold, indifferent. But inside, between the heat and the sounds of chopping, an entire world was forming. Sometimes all someone needs is for one person to believe in them, and that can change an entire life. If this story moved you, leave your like and subscribe now. Don't miss the next ones that will touch your heart and stay in your memory. Watch another emotional story now.